Tell us a bit about the Rotary Club of Cobar.
The Rotary Club of Cobar is a fairly small club. We have a total of 13 members, of whom 8 are active. So we very small club, but I think we've certainly got our finger on the pulse when it comes to what's happening in our community.
So how did both of you get involved in the club drought relief program, Therese?
A bit like we fell into it, really, through a night for farmers out at Tilpa and one in Cobar, and a combination of those 2 events, and a combination of seeing that the farmers were obviously needing help, and the Lions Club had sent a road train of hay to Cobar and a trailer load of groceries, for which nobody really wanted to take any responsibility with distributing, so the Rotary Club ended up taking on that job, and it just continued to grow. We put packs together to a value of about $100, and the farmers gradually put their hand up to take a grocery pack, and 2 years later we're still doing grocery packs and helping out with vouchers as well at local shops, supermarket, fuel and butcher.
So Gordon, it would have been a big project, as we all know. It's been going on for 2 to 3 years now. How did you get the people around the town to rally with you to move forward with the project?
Well, basically the club was keen to be part of the program to assist with the drought. Because Therese and I were retired and I guess available to assist, we put our hand up to actually run the day-to-day program. The other members of the club, the active members of the club, all worked, so we were the obvious choice to get involved, talking to the business houses, talking to the farmers, making good use of our networking, like with the local mail contractor, who fortunately serviced the whole 150 properties in the Shire and along the boundary of the adjoining shires, being Central Darling, Burke and Bogan. So use of networking resources was a big part of the program.
So when you got these people involved, did you lay out a program for them to do things, Gordon?
Basically, we run the program day to day, or it became more long term as time went on. But the club members supported what we were doing. As I say, most of them, they're all working 9 to 5, or all working shift work in the mines. So Therese and I basically run the day-to-day operations to get the support out to the farmers when they ask for it.
I know you've got the postman that most probably sees a lot of these people on a daily basis, Gordon. So if you could give us a bit of outline of how you get involved with the families.
So basically it was a case of getting to, we already knew a lot of the farmers, of course, and in my previous employment before I retired, I'd actually dealt with quite a number of those people on their property, so I certainly knew some of them. We were able to make contact with other farmers through the networking that I mentioned previously, to talk to them about what the needs were. Therese mentioned about the 2 nights for the farmer events that we were involved in, or the Rotary Club was involved in. And what that was all about, we invited the farmers to come in and have a night off the farm, if you like, have a night where we provided a meal, we provided some entertainment, and just give them an opportunity to get off the farm and relax a little bit. But of course we had an ulterior motive, and that ulterior motive was to talk to those farmers and their families whilst they were in town about what their needs were. And we very quickly found out from those discussions at Cobar and at Tilpa that the main needs were fodder for their stock, drinking water for themselves, and grocery packs and assistance with vouchers. So they were able to give us that information when we asked them what their needs were.
So to get this job done, you needed lots of money. So where did the drought relief funds come from? Was there government grants, or were they just from the Rotary side of things? Could you give us a bit of a rundown on that?
Yes, certainly, Bernie. It was a mixture. We were able to get funding from external charities outside of Rotary, such as the Australian Horizons Foundation, the St George Motorboat Club in Sydney, just to give you a couple of examples of some major donors that assisted us. We've had good support from the Rotary family, both in the district and outside the district and interstate. We had have a number of clubs in Victoria, from Melbourne right through rural Victoria up into Bendigo and other places that have approached us and asked if we needed some assistance with funding, and of course we said yes, and they have been able to support us very strongly right through the 2 years that we've been running the event.
So Therese, from what we heard earlier, the different families told you what their requirements were. How did you come about putting together the packs? So where did you go to get some of the things, or who did you talk to get people to donate the things that the farmers needed, or the farming families needed?
We didn't ask people specifically for donations. It was or what they wanted. A couple of the women sat down and worked out what a basic grocery pack should look like, given that it was just dried goods. And so that's how, and we just shopped locally. We wanted to support our local supermarket. We're trying to keep that going as well. They had been struggling, they struggled as well during the drought. Farmers not necessarily coming in. It was just, the shopkeepers were also struggling. So we just only shopped local. Except if people had sent stuff to us, like from Victoria, or individuals would actually specifically drive to Cobar with a boot full of groceries, or and then one lady from in Victoria as well, they did like a harvest collection, I think it was called, and they'd gather fruit from people's backyards and they bottled it. And she brought up boxes and boxes of bottled pears and peaches and nectarines, and it was just wonderful. And so, yeah, so in every box I could put that in. It was just something personal. But yeah, locally we tried to support the local supermarkets. I never go away to Dubbo to shop for the boxes, and as far as much as possible, I'll buy Australian goods, like tinned fruit. It's always Australian fruit. It's not, and tomatoes, and yeah.
So Gordon, how many dollars have been used on the drought relief so far?
Well, we've spent over $800,000 in the 2 years to date, and as of October 2020. We have committed or spent $680,446, if you like, and that's to give you a breakdown on that. We've actually distributed 519 as of October 2020. Distributed 519 grocery packs valued at $100 each. So that's $51,900. 29 pallets of working dog food. That's $24,500. 415 fuel vouchers valued at normally $100 each. That's $41,500. 254 fresh meat vouchers, $12,700. 21 road trains of fodder at $500,000. And 419 IGA vouchers $100 vouchers of $41,900, and 15 pallets of bottled water, $7,200 roundabout. So that's the breakdown of where the money's gone, Bernie, since in the 2 years we've been running.
Wow, that's some dollars. So, has any of that money been spent on administering the program?
No, administration costs have been quite low, actually. Therese and I have donated our time and everything, of course, and the small administration costs have been absorbed by the club, by Cobar Rotary. So all of the money that has been donated to the program has gone out to the farmers.
So you've got all this gear, you've got the fodder. How did you distribute it around to the farmers or the farming families? Let's talk maybe fodder.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, we worked on a principle of talking to the farmers, and we're a bit fortunate again through the networking. For instance, out at Tilpa, west of Cobar on the Darling River, the Tilpa community had a community committee that they run various things in the community, and we were actually able to talk to that committee, and because all the farmers in that area were all members of that committee, were able to very quickly get information back about who had stock, who didn't have stock, who had a need for fodder. The secretary of that group, I worked with her. She was the one who actually distributed or give us the list of names of people who needed fodder. And the committee also identified drop-off points. Typically, with a road train of fodder, we would drop a trailer load of fodder at a designated drop-off point. So with a road train, 2 trailers, 2 drop-off points. The farmers, and we made sure those drop-off points had the equipment to handle the fodder when it came in, so that they had forks on a tractor, or they had a forklift, or they had the equipment to get the fodder off the truck and onto the farmer's utility or his trailer or whatever he had. So that's the way we distribute it. We got the trucks to drop off at the distribution points. The farmers then came and picked up, and we allocated a number of bales per farmer. Typically, there'd be on a road train, there's 84 large bales on a road train. So we distribute probably somewhere between 6 and 10 bales per property, depending on how many people at the time said that they needed fodder.
Wow, that's a big distribution area. Has the drought started to ease, Therese, do you think?
This year, yes, we've had a considerable amount of rain in Cobar and east of Cobar. West of Cobar and some areas north and south haven't had as much rain as that. There are still some farmers who are still hand feeding their cattle, and so there's still a lot more rain, and their land is still red dirt. There's well, as a few weeks ago, like early October 2020, yeah, they're still waiting for their grass to grow. Hopefully by the summer they will have some means of being able to feed their sheep. So it's still a fair way to go yet. And of course, as you know, to have income, you've still got to have, it takes time for the sheep to breed and to be able to feed, and same with your cows, or your crops to grow. And still the weather has to be good, raining at the right time, not raining, so that you can harvest. And so it'll be a good 18 months, 2 years, maybe before they will have some liquid cash income that they can, disposable, that they're able to go and spend whatever they need in terms of their own grocery supply. And what we do for them, it's just a small respite. It's not like we feed them for a month. It's just helps with the cost for, you know, a few weeks where maybe they don't have to draw on the bank as much as what they would have before. And mentally, I would imagine as a wife trying to manage your budget, it's just a help, you know, to have a little bit where you don't have to spend like you do normally. Because everybody knows that, you know, even $100 groceries, it doesn't go far. Even for two people, it still doesn't go far. So it's just a mental support as much as anything else as well.
So knowing that this is going to go on for another 18 months or 2 years, how well are you set up at the moment with items that you've got sitting in the warehouse area? How well are you set up? Because at the moment, here we are, we've got most probably 50 clubs looking at what we're talking about. How many of those clubs can maybe help you by getting in touch and giving you some help in organising some gear or organising fodder or things like that, rather than just you on your own, that we might be able to spread that load across the Rotary family? So Gordon, could you give us a summary maybe on...
Yeah, I think... Thanks, Bernie. I think that, as I said previously, the Rotary family and other charities have been extremely supportive of the program. We are hopeful that we can keep going, probably with the funding we've got left, probably until Christmas 2020. We would have funds to keep us going that long, but every time the funding's got a bit low in the past, we've been pleasantly surprised by a charity or a Rotary Club contacting us and say, hey guys, would you like a bit more money? And of course we never say no. So there's opportunities there. We have approached, just in the last fortnight, have approached one of those charities to see whether they may be able to assist with some more funding to actually keep us going into the early part of 2021, but we'll see how we go with that. One of the issues, I guess, and a lot of the Rotary clubs are telling us, because of the COVID virus, of course, their fundraising is in some disarray as well. So a lot of the clubs are saying, even those that have supported us previously, saying we'd like to be able to help you further, but we're constrained by a lack of income from various projects that we would normally run. So we're just a matter of seeing how it goes at this point in time.
So what sort of support have you had from the local government, the state government and the national government towards you, or getting things done to help you do your project?
We've been able to get some funding, of course, through RORCs and through RABS. We've got funding. Some of that funding's come from federal government money, of course. Not so much from local government or state government. And that's one of the reasons why we got started in the first place, Bernie. We were aware, or the club was aware, that a lot of the farmers west of the Newell Highway, if you like, were missing out on government money because they weren't aware of the funding that was available. And the reason for that is that a lot of the information flow to the public was via social media in particular. And a lot of the farmers in the more remote areas of the state don't have reliable internet access. They often don't have mobile phones, so they don't get the information. And one of the things that we done quite early in the piece from the club point of view was to do a letterbox drop to 150 letterboxes in the Cobar Shire and adjoining border areas, to let people know that there was a round of funding available through RORCs that they should apply for. And most people told us they simply weren't aware that that money was available. So by doing the letterbox drop, those 150 farmers became aware that there was some federal government money about. Probably outside the Rotary family, I think I've spoken a fair bit about inside the Rotary family, but outside, two major charities have been very helpful to us. the Australian Horizons Foundation. They've contributed over $200,000 to our program, and mostly for fodder. And they just keep on keeping on. Every time we look like getting a bit short of cash, I have the audacity to contact them and ask them if there's any more available, and so far they haven't said no. Their next question is, how much do you want? The other charity I guess I've mentioned was is the St George Motorboat Club in Sydney, again from I guess a more affluent part of Sydney, and they contacted and they said, look, we'd like to raise money for a road train load of fodder for you. We said, yeah, that'd be great, so that was planned for early 2020. But in December 2019, they contacted us only about a week out from Christmas, and they said, look, we would like to give you some more money. And we said, well, you're going to give us money after Christmas for fodder. And they said, no, we would like to give you some money right now, and we would like you to identify how many farming families you have in your area that have young children. And we would like to donate $500 cash to each of those farming families before Christmas so that they can actually have a Christmas. So we very quickly done a head count. We identified, I think at that point in time, 27 families that had young children. And this is a big leap of faith here, Bernie. We contacted Therese and our treasurer, our club treasurer, Julie. They sat down and they rung each of the farming families that had children, told them what we're going to do. They had to provide us with their bank account details, and without exception, the 27 families provided us with the bank account details. We had $500 into their bank account before Christmas, and several families told us after Christmas, you know what, if you guys hadn't given us that money, we wouldn't have had Christmas. It was going to be just another day on the farm, because they had no cash to buy presents for themselves or for their children. So that was just another example that blew us away. That we had charities that were prepared to do that. And then later on, we got money from Rorke's for the same thing, $35,000 from Rorke's. And that, again, a similar thing, we were asked to contact families that needed cash for bill payment, medical expenses, whatever. And again, Therese and Julie sat down and they contacted, I think it was 63 farming families, and again, without exception, those 63 families gave us their bank detail, confidentially of course, and we provided $500 into each of their accounts to help them pay bills. So that's just an example of how those major donors have been a big benefit to this program. We couldn't have done it without them.
Well, that's really great to hear. Do you have any other comments that you've not covered as far as the drought relief program? Now, we know it's going to go on at least for another 12 to 18 months.
Well, Bernie, I think that any donation is a big assistance. It doesn't matter whether it's $10, $100, doesn't really matter. It all adds up, and it just helps us to keep the program going for that length of time. As Therese said earlier, it's going to be, the farmers are telling us that it's going to be it's 18 months to 2 years before they have any really usable income in most cases. So anything that we can do, or anything that other Rotary clubs can do, will be of assistance in providing for those families for that 18 months or 2 years until they can be self-supporting again.